This is going to be a bit of a behind the scenes look at remediation. So, hot topic right now, accessibility remediation. What does it mean? So basically, what we're doing is we're going to all of our content that's been created over the past 6 years now and going through and making sure it's accessible. So some common issues that run into things that we're working through. I've used underlining in the past. Now, underlining is a nice stylistic thing. You have your tag, I'll do you, and you, just so we have an example, right? The issue with this is typically when you see underlined text on a website, this implies that it's a link to somewhere. So now, and this is, again, this doesn't have to do with any disability necessarily. This is a usability problem now. Where you meet your instructor, well, if I'm just glancing at this, I might try and click on that until I've become familiar with the fact that, oh, link text is blue. It's also general best practice to keep different contextual items like that the same consistency. So, if I wanted to emphasize this in some way, that we apply strong or italics or something of that nature. So I can, let's turn these back off, I don't need those. You'll also notice as part of remediation, we've really trimmed down the number of options that are made available through the text editor. We've also reduced the number of headings. So we just have H2s and H3s. You can toggle this through the WYSIWYG area in Drupal, but we really haven't found a need to go any deeper than that in terms of nested structures and things. So see here, markup's pretty clean. I've already gone through and scrubbed this. One point to note, you'll see there's this type of a snippet. This is how we do our videos. So in the future, when everything's HTML5 based, it'll be a lot easier for us to convert all of our media over to HTML5 because this is actually rendering or loading at the time the page renders, sorry. And so that's going to configure itself and say, oh, hey, cool, you have HTML5 requirement, you don't have Flash, here, I'll serve you this. Versus some older browsers that might have Flash but not HTML5. We're not doing that part yet, but that's why this has been put in place this way. Some other things, very common, you'll notice there's this caption property as well as a summary. You're only going to need one of them in the future. I can't remember at the moment which, but it's not a bad thing to have it for non-HTML5 based browsers. Another thing with the tables, you'll see we have THs for table heading. We also have a couple columns through that. So the easiest way to clean up these tables, and actually what we've been doing a lot of times, is come to the page and I'm hitting Command A to select all because this is MRAP. And then this wonderful remove formatting eraser button. Now I'm just going to push this because I know what it'll do. So you'll see it removed. It's going to go through and clean up all styles, all font tags, all those wonderful things you shouldn't have. As well as word garbage that's in there that could throw off a screen reader or even a normal user of the system because of there's just word junk in there. So I'm going to make that bold again because that's what is bold. Then for the table, to make this accessible, what we've been doing is right-clicking on a table. This is CK editor, but this is true of most text editors. And then first you want to take headers, and you either want to put it first row, first column, or both. This helps screen reader as well as, we try to link this to some stylistic improvements. And then caption and summary I've been putting in as, the caption will then tell it, hey, this is what the table's all about. And again, it adds some nice stylistic consistency to it. So you'll see we have this marked as this is a table heading and down the column is table heading because that is also step 1, step 2, step 3 kind of a thing. Some other ways that we're helping improve things through remediation is through templated HTML. So we've been building out these nice little areas that do things the right way. And so I found it helpful to incentivize the use of more accessible technologies from a visual perspective because there's a lot of kind of fear, uncertainty, and doubt out there about oh, well, if I make something accessible, it's going to be less usable, or that just means it has to be easier to look at. That's not necessarily the case, and so that was a poor implementation there. So let's say I want to add in a quote as just a real basic example. We have a well-constructed quote that looks nice, but does it in a way that is accessible. And so viewing the source of this, you'll see it's block quote, we use classes. Using classes instead of styles is another approach. We're actually going to block the use of the style property in the future. This way you can avoid conflicts with sighted users in terms of colorblind, issues with color blindness. There are some other visual cues you need to take into account that you could potentially goof up if you had a style and say this block quote was bright red and this text was bright green. I don't know why you would do that, but you could do it. You could turn this into MySpace if you really wanted to. And so we apply the class that then gives these nice block quoted area to offset it, but also do it the correct way. And so those are some of the ways we're helping improve the accessibility of our material. You also notice the inline styles. We just have a few colors instead of a huge color wheel. We've got some standardized style sheets that this is tied to, as well as the templates that we're putting out there. And so we'll go back to view again. And so this is a video that renders through, and this is the table is fairly clean, easy to read. We're still cleaning up the styles of these things, but it's a work in progress. Let's look at what some images look like in this. So we go to Fantastic Art in this case, and we'll go to Montreal. So we're using the same approach for images as well. So that image on the right column of this page is actually generated by Airline Media. And so, as I mouse over, it gives me better alt information. We should clean that up as well, but it provides flexibility of alt information that is different from the textual information here for citation purposes. And then we can also do nice things, again, in trying to incentivize the use of more accessible means of achieving the same solution. So this rounds the corners of this image, automatically applies this information, and it light boxes it as well, which I can hit escape to get out of. So that's some of the remediation that we've been doing on this course. And if anyone has any suggestions or wants to add comments as to things you're doing to help improve the accessibility of material, please leave them in the thread below.